Being able to act in Portuguese again, because it had been a bit since you had done that.
Yeah.
Like, does that change? Like, does your brain work differently?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so liberating. It's like, I keep quoting Javier Bardem. I don't even know if he really said that. I have to ask him this. But I think I read somewhere that Javier said that when he works in Spanish, in English, is as if there was like a big office in his brain, like with people like trying to make that thing work and send telephone calls and emails and all that. And when he works in Spanish, the office is empty. And I think that that's a great metaphor. He used to be a critic, and in 2005 we met there. I was there with a film, and Kleber was there as a critic, and we connected, and then I felt a very nice connection with him. And then I started to see his films, like right after he directed some shorts, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the critic's short, they're amazing. And then I saw his first feature film, which it's a film called Neighboring Sounds, and then I thought that that was one of the greatest films I had ever seen in my life. It was like, it really moved me. And from that day on, I was really obsessed in working with him. But what really connected Kleber and I was politics, because from 2018 to 2022, Brazil was under a very, how can I put it?
A dark period.
Yeah, a very bad time in our history. And then I think that was sort of the genesis of, and Kleber and I suffered a lot, because everyone who was vocal against the government, or like any fascist government, they would attack universities, press, artists. And I directed a film called Marighella. It was really hard to release the film in Brazil. Kleber suffered lots of consequences of the way he behaved there too. So we got together. And I think that this film is sort of comes from that moment, and that's not by chance that he sets the film during the dictatorship in 77.
How long had you been kind of thinking over this story?
I had been thinking for a number of years, because in fact this film would not exist without my previous film, which is a film essay, a documentary. It's a very different kind of film. But because I spent so much time, looking at archive material and old newspapers at the archive, I confirmed many of the memories that I had about the 1970s, and that gave me the basis on which I could develop The Secret Agent. So it's a very interesting case of two very different films feeling emotionally they are very similar emotionally.
Did you always have him in mind, or when did that come?
I always had him in mind.
We were discussing this today in the car.
Because yesterday somebody asked a really interesting question which no one had asked before. The first question right off the bat was, who was your second option for the role? And I was like, there was no second. Look at his face. There was no second option.
Are you safer now than during the time, even a couple of years ago? Like, how are you experiencing things in your work now?
That's a very good question, and the answer is yes. I think Brazil has gone back to behaving and acting in real life like a democracy. This week, the former president is actually being tried for his crimes, and it does look like he will go to jail by the end of the week. So this is a really interesting time in Brazil, and in terms of being an artist and working with culture and expressing your political views, it's just a normal part of life.
I know people like that are 16, 17-year-olds, that they go like, oh, was there a dictatorship in Brazil? They had no idea, and that's a very important thing. Our film is also about memory, and I think this is a very important thing. To see Brazilians seeing themselves represented in artists, because for a long time during Bolsonaro's period, we were so attacked with so many lies and horrible things, that to see Brazilians rooting for Fernando Torres and for Walter Salles and for the film, and seeing and thinking like these people represent us, for me, was the most special thing about that.
Something that we're asking everybody who comes through is, what's the most extreme or intense place that you filmed a production?
Well, I did this film called The Lead Squad, and in that movie we had to shoot like in favelas that were dominated by the drug trade. And then so in order to be there, we had to make a deal with the drug traffickers, and that was weird, because we were there and they were around them with their guns, and they were like, "It's all good. You're good, dude. Nothing's gonna happen to you." And I was all dressed as a policeman.